Hey there, welcome to the REI Conversion Podcast, where each episode we discuss strategies and digital tools to help you launch, automate, and scale your real estate investing business. Learn how to run your investing business remotely, find out ways to automate your business to better utilize your time, and learn what other successful investors are implementing so you can get to the next step closer to your investing goals. And I'm your host and founder of REI Conversion, Jesse Kwong. Hey, how's it going? It's Jesse here from the REI Conversion Podcast. I am going to be talking to you today on this episode all on picking the right domain. So this is more for those that are getting started, getting their site launched or relaunching their website or wanting to rebrand or opening another extension of their business, of their land business. We're going to be talking about the 10 tips that will help you sort of choose your domain. And there are certain rules that you want to make sure you follow so it makes it easier for your visitors, your buyers, your sellers to find your website. Now, if you're looking for a website to set up, obviously this show is brought to you by REI Conversion. We have both our REI land list for selling property and REI land leads for buying property. So if you want to check them out, just head over to reiconversion.com/landlist or reiconversion.com/landleads. REI Conversion makes it easy for you to launch your land investing websites, including both your buying and selling websites. Once you sign up, we help you do all the work of getting your site up and running so you can start driving your leads easily. Not only that, your website acts as a tool to leverage time to allow you to scale. Things like our automated offer that helps you make an offer for you on a property that gets submitted, to our sales post generator, which makes it very easy for you to condense your postings that you've already added to your website. Easy for you to post on other third-party listing sites like Zillow, like Facebook Marketplace, like Craigslist. Feel free to book a free demo with me. Just go ahead and head over to reiconversion.com, click the big book a tour button and schedule a call with me. And I'd love to show you through some of the tools that we have and see if this is even a great fit for you. Anyways, let's get back to this episode. Today, again, we're talking all about choosing the right domain. And you're going to see me look at my screen here because I literally have notes here written down. These are notes that I've collected, and I've been working in the web space for the last, like 12, 15 years now. Set up a lot of websites and learned a lot about choosing domain. And there are some rules that you want to stick by, or some guidelines. Now, there are always exceptions to these guidelines. So, take it with take it as far as you need to, but we'll go through sort of the top 10 guides that I've sort of come across and learned along the way. And hopefully we'll sort of keep it around the land investing side. So let's just go right from the top to the end. Let's start with the first rule. Number 1, keep it short. I can't stress this enough, keeping this short. I'm going to post a link to this graphic here where shorter is better, and you'll see the average length of website URLs sits around the 11 to 12 character mark. So that's really about 2 to 3 words in total. The shorter, the better. And that leads to the second one. It needs to be memorable. So you'll want to think of something that can be memorable, isn't too generic, that allows you to give you a bit of room to do a little bit of branding down the road. Now, you may not have branding solidified at the beginning, but thinking a little bit more, not too abstract, yet not too generic, you do want to be memorable. Whether it's the name that is memorable or the URL is memorable, you do want to be slightly memorable. I wouldn't go too far, but you'll also want to be able to communicate what you're doing. For next of all, number 3, you'll want it to be easy to pronounce, right? You want to be able to say it over the phone if somebody's asking you. Careful of using your own personal names or your last name. I know that a lot of people like to include their last name, so sometimes the last name can be hard to spell out and pronounce. That leads me to the next rule here, or guide number 4, is it needs to be easy to spell. If you can say it and someone knows how to spell it, that's going to be sort of your checker, right? You're going to be able to tell someone, hey, this is my link, and see if they can spell it themselves. Number 5, when you're purchasing a domain, this is a huge one. Make sure you grab the singular version and the pluralized version. For example, now this is just as an example, right? cheapland.com and cheaplands.com. I know people that have websites, and not only that, are in land, and not only that, have lost sales to competitors because of this exact situation. And I'm not talking about like I've only heard it once. I've heard this a few times. So when you're looking at a domain, make sure the pluralized version is available. Again, something like cheapland.com and cheaplands.com. And that leads me to the next rule here. And I think this is rule number, oh boy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 6. Rule number 6. I recommend that you go with the extension.com. So the extension is whatever dot, people have .com, .net, .org. I'd strongly suggest you to stick with .com because it's sort of the default top level the domain name extension. So you'll want to use that one. About 43% of website across the internet uses .com, right? That's the mass majority. So you want to use that. Now, there have been people that use .land, which I think is it's suitable. I think that can work, especially in our industry. So .land is also available for you to use, okay? But I would grab .com. If you really want to stick to your name, the one that you have, you can consider .net and .org. Again, I suggest to stick with .com. Next, number 7, try not to be too abstract in naming. Now, this is, obviously abstract can be hard to spell, hard to understand. So you want to be able to communicate what you do, or at least what industry you're in, that you're related to land. You want to have some sort of relationship there versus something that is too abstract or too broad and vague, right? So again, I think I would say not too abstract and not too vague in naming. Next of all, I want you to think in long term. So careful when you're picking a domain. I see this happen a lot, that people pick a domain with the state they work out of. You never know what other counties or states you may hop around. So especially with land, right? I do, again, know that some people do have their state or their location or something that kind of boxes them in and stops them from being able to use it down the road. I've seen that happen many times. You'll want to stick with the domain because that helps with SEO. So again, think long term. All right, number 9 here. Avoid using numbers and dashes. I know this is very common. A lot of people use number 4, land for cash, land for whatever. It's fine when you're on the phone and you can explain to them, oh, it's landforcash.com, and you're going to say, oh, and it's the number 4, not the word for. That extra little bit can cost you, especially, they may forget. You might have forgotten to mention it to them or whatever it may be. It just adds confusion to it. Same with the number 2. 2 is another common one, right? And dashes. Dashes just adds more complexity. I would try to stay away, again, from numbers and dashes. Okay, and final rule here, or guide. I wouldn't say this is even a rule or guide. This is more as an advice or, just a general advice. I suggest to buy your domain through GoDaddy.com. They are easy to use, easy to integrate with, and very well priced. In fact, a little pro tip here, if you've got the Honey extension, which you might have seen on YouTube ads before, it's an extension you install on your browser, or even just Google for GoDaddy discount codes. I'm sure you'll find one. You can get your domains pretty darn cheap, as it is already quite cheap. Working with other domain registrars are fine. I mean, Google is another one that is fine to work with. There's Namecheap, Bluehost. There's a slew of others. Careful of not buying domains through, site creators like Squarespace, because they'll lock you in, and you must use their system. And then to unlock and to transfer it over, you have to leave it with them for 60 days. So I'd suggest GoDaddy. They're easy to use. They've got good support. And they're well priced. All right, just to kind of go from the top to the bottom, the top 10 rules or guides for picking a domain. Number 1, keep it short, 2 to 3 words. On average, most are about 12 characters long. Make sure it's memorable. Number 3, Make sure it's easy to pronounce, especially when I'm talking on the phone. You want to be able to pronounce that. Number 4, easy to spell. Make sure to test it by asking someone, hey, here's my domain, and say it to them and see if they can spell it out to you. If they can, great, they pass. Number 5, make sure when you're purchasing a domain, grab both the singular and pluralized version. If someone is already taking the pluralized or the singular version, stay away from it. Number 6, I recommend you to use the .com. If .com's not available, .land, some people use that. I'm not against that. And .org or .net. I'm not, I tend to go back and find another domain with .com. Rule number 8, or guide number 8 here, try not being too abstract or too vague when coming up with a name. Number 9, I think I lost count here. 8, I think I'm still at. Oh, sorry about my numbering here. I'm just trying to list everything out here. Think long term, okay? Try not to put yourself in a box. Think big so that you have room to grow with that domain. Number 9, avoid numbers and dashes. And number 10, I'm not even sure if there's number 10 and 11. I lost count here. Use something like GoDaddy. They make it easy for you to purchase your domain, and they're quite cheap. And use the Honey extension to get a plug. So that you can get a discount. I meant use the Honey extension. It's a plugin for your Chrome browser to get a discount at checkout. All right, I hope you found that helpful and useful, especially for those of you that are, again, launching a new site, opening a new part of your business. And again, if you are looking to launch your land investing website, make sure you head over to reiconversion.com, book a tour with me. I'd love to jump on there with you. And if you have a couple domain names and you want to throw them at me, feel free to throw that my way. I'd love to sort of give you my advice on that, and we can go from there. Anyways, thanks again for listening to the episode, and I hope you'll join me on the next one. Cheers. Before you stop this podcast or head to the next episode, I want to personally thank you for listening to this episode of the REI Conversion Podcast. If you found this helpful, we'd greatly appreciate an awesome review and rating on whichever platform you're listening to this on. And if you have 2 minutes and wanted to step it up even more and help others, feel free to share this in other Facebook groups or pages or any communities, giving others a heads up of the REI Conversion Podcast or this specific episode that may help them on their investing journey. Once again, thanks very much for listening, and catch you on our next episode.